Am I the asshole for getting a paternity test on my son who doesn't look like me? I'm a 29-year-old white guy, my wife is 30 and black. We have 2 kids, a 3-year-old girl and a 5-year-old boy. My wife got pregnant with our son early in our relationship. We'd only been together for a year. We got married because she got pregnant, and fortunately for us, we are actually happy. When my son was born, I accepted him as mine. However, I couldn't help noticing how little he looked like me. He is noticeably darker than my wife. He doesn't look half white. My family and my friends asked if I'm sure he's mine, and I had doubts, but I initially decided to trust my wife, as I loved my son regardless. When our son was 2, my wife had our daughter. I had no doubt that she's mine. She looks just like me. She even has my blue eyes. I never realized how powerful it is to know that a child is yours. I bonded with her easier because there wasn't the question of paternity dangling over our heads. My family bonded with her faster too. Her resemblance to me convinced me that my son is not mine. I tried to always treat them equally, as I see them both as my children, but I realized I'm beginning to resent my son. It felt unfair that I had to care for someone else's child. I also began to resent my wife because I felt that she had betrayed me. I finally got a paternity test in secret, and I was relieved to learn that my son was in fact mine. Genetics are weird. Anyways, that was 4 months ago, and my relationship with my wife and my son improved dramatically. I feel much closer to him now that I know he's mine. My wife and I have been so happy that we were talking about a 3rd child. I confessed to my wife that I got a paternity test. I hated keeping the secret, and I thought she would understand given how much he doesn't look like me. She flipped out. She asked me if I ever doubted our daughter, and when I said no, she called me racist. It's not true. I didn't prefer my daughter because of her whiter features, I just knew that she was mine. She also said that I made our son feel unloved for no reason for all those years. I said that's bull. Even when I didn't believe my son was mine, I treated him as though he were. My wife says she wants to move out and take our children after the quarantine. It's been about a week and a half, and I'm still on the sofa. I hoped she would have calmed down by now, but things haven't changed. She's just so furious with me for not trusting her and for, in her eyes, denying my son because he's dark. She barely talks to me unless it's about the kids. I don't want to lose my family. Here is where I turn to you, Reddit. Is it so awful that I had doubts? I still took care of him. I don't understand why something like this is wrecking my marriage. I think she's overreacting. So am I the asshole? In the comments, Basketball Throw 910 says, "You married a black woman and for some reason got confused that one of your children ended up black. Please take a high school level biology course or something. You're the asshole." Yeah, your marriage is over. You neglected your son for years because you couldn't be bothered to do some research on genetics and just assumed your mixed-race kids would automatically look like the stereotype in your head. It was racist and paranoid and also led you to be a bad father. Why would she still want to be married to you? You're the asshole. You let yourself fester quietly for 5 years, and whether you realize it or not, likely hurt your wife and son in the process, and then got the paternity test done in secret after your daughter came out looking like every Hollywood mixed baby. Whether you did it knowingly or not, the idea that the lighter-colored child was not only yours, but proof that your darker-skinned son is someone else's kid, is rooted in racist ideology. You're the asshole for so far as refusing to do the introspection necessary to figure this one out. You're also the asshole for the way that you're dismissing your wife's response to what you've done and why. First, instead of being open and honest about your concern from the beginning, with more than quote-unquote light comments about the boy's skin color, you kept quiet and essentially punished both your wife and your son with what sounds like a much chiller attitude than the one that your daughter got. Second, you got the paternity test done in secret and only went to your wife after you had made certain whether or not the boy is in fact yours. Instead of giving her the chance to prove herself to you, you waited until you could confront or present her with the truth. That's a coward's solution. Third, having already received those results and being relieved to have been wrong about your son, you seem to have expected your wife to immediately share in your joy and have absolutely no upset whatsoever. That isn't fair to her. She's her own human being, and she's just discovered the guy that she chose to sleep with, have children with, and marry hasn't trusted her at all these last 5 years. She has every right to be hurt and to express that hurt in whatever way that she needs to, even if that includes leaving you behind. Fourth, there are a lot of racist stereotypes involving interracial couples. The darker-skinned baby being born to white parents joke is only one of them. Most, if not all of those stereotypes, center in on the extremely racist idea that black people are sexually promiscuous, disloyal, and only ever seek to take advantage of white people. It's extremely likely that your wife has been on the receiving end of a lot of comments rooted in those stereotypes. Probably a lot more than you will ever know. And now you've just proven to her that she has no ally in you. You tested your son because he was so much darker than your daughter. You let yourself doubt your wife's loyalty to you for 5 years rather than trying to have an actual serious conversation with her. The man that she chose is no better than anyone else who has ever had a hurtful thing to say about your relationship. Do you have any idea the amount of pain and betrayal that she has to be feeling right now? How dare you? Truly, honestly, how dare you? How dare you do this and expect her to be okay? How dare you do this and come running to a sea of strangers to validate you when it rightfully blows up in your face? You need to do a good deal of soul-searching and find a way to try to make this better, and not for your sake. I guess my take on this was, what came to mind initially was that the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but did he even have good intentions here? It seemed like, on the surface, there were good intentions to be like, I'm just gonna do this paternity test to figure out whether my son is mine or not, and put this to bed. But as that comment pointed out, he had a severe lack of self-awareness, and I guess spatial awareness, in that he didn't realize how much he was hurting his wife in everything that he had done up until this point, and then past that point as well. Yeah, he just assumed that she'd be cool with it. He didn't realize that he was being insanely racist and just perpetuating stereotypes. There were much better ways to have a more honest and more open conversation about this right from the jump. It's crazy that you can actually trust your wife to be open and honest with you from the start and have these difficult conversations without perpetuating racist stereotypes and destroying your partner's trust in you in the meantime. But instead, he chose to bottle all of those emotions, all of those questions, and, sit on them for 5 years. I don't blame her for feeling the way that she does. He did kind of just destroy this relationship with that. I'd be very surprised if she took him back after this. I don't expect this relationship to work out. I don't think you can trust your partner after a betrayal of this magnitude. It really is a betrayal. So yeah, you're the asshole, OP. And now, on to the update. After being ripped to shreds on my first post, I didn't plan to ever log into this account again. Some recent events have persuaded me to update you all on what's been going on, and I'll just get right to it. My wife and I are separated currently. I moved out so that she and the kids could stay in our home. I'm staying with my parents for now. I don't get to see my kids as often as I would like to. When I have a more stable living situation, we'll have joint custody of them. It's been very hard on me and the kids. I talk to them on the phone every night, and they both keep asking when I'm coming home. It breaks my heart that I can't answer that question. My daughter is taking it the worst. I feel awful that her world had been turned upside down by her own parents. I miss my family. I miss seeing my kids every day. I miss my wife. Our relationship has been put into limbo for now. She says she needs space to process and doesn't know if she'll be able to forgive me. I've apologized in every way that I know how to, and at this point, I just have to give her the space that she wants and hope that she calms down. It would be horrible for us to throw away the life that we built. If separating has been this hard on the kids, divorce is going to shatter them. She seems open to seeking couples counseling, and it gives me some hope that we can work past this. As for Reddit, I admit that I didn't want to hold myself accountable before. I couldn't see how my actions were subconsciously harmful to my son. It was never my intention to be racist, but I did treat my son differently due to his skin color when you strip it down to its roots. I realized how bad I fucked up when I felt ashamed, thinking my wife had probably told her family why we separated. They used to think really highly of me. Now they all probably think that I'm a racist. I have no one to blame for that but myself. With all the craziness going on in the world, I know that I need to be more aware of my actions. My kids deserve to have their family be a safe haven from racism. It scares me thinking about the type of world that I'll send them out into, where they could be racially profiled in most places. I can't imagine it if my son were on the news instead of one of those other poor guys. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that, OB? What the fuck? I'll never let anything get in the way of my relationship with him again. Thanks all. Again, is this an example of the road to hell is paved with good intentions? What the hell did that mean? I can't imagine if my son were on the news instead of one of those other poor guys. Why are you calling them poor guys? That's crazy. Also, this first post and update were written obviously 2020 and 2021, so I wonder who he's alluding to there. And now onto the last update, titled, An Update for Those Who Still Message Me Asking How Things Turned Out. It's been over a year and a half since I used this account. I stopped replying to PMs a long time ago because, to put it bluntly, I felt like shit when I was reminded of what caused me to make this account in the first place, even though most of the PMs that I got weren't bad. I was shocked but flattered to see dozens of messages still coming in as recently as a few months ago. I want to give an update on my life for those people. I'm single. My ex-wife and I had our divorce finalized early in 2022. We'd gotten back together for almost a year after I told her about the paternity test. I made promises to be a better husband, and I believe that I kept those promises, even though it didn't work. Unfortunately, things were not the same despite both of our best efforts, including months of counseling. Couples counseling and private counseling for her. The fact of the matter is that she could never forgive me enough to trust me, so it was never going to work out. Towards the end, she didn't even want to be intimate with me in any way, so much that I slept most nights on the couch or in my kids' rooms. We became roommates. I would have kept trying to fix things forever, but she was willing to face the fact that it was over way before I could. I still have a lot of love for her, and I think I will forever. I'm not ashamed to say that I haven't gotten over how devastating it was, even though it's my fault. I developed depression badly, which I know some people would say that I deserve. I even had to quit my job due to it. I still miss her, and even more, I miss what we had together. I dread the day that I will hear that she is in a relationship with someone else, because I know it will come someday. I have an apartment to myself now. It took a while for me to get on my feet. My kids, now 8 male, almost 6 female, spend every other weekend with me, and I get them 50-50 when there are breaks from school. My son is very athletic and is very good at soccer. As he's gotten older, I've seen more of myself in him than I did in his youth. He hasn't heard about the paternity test, and I hope he never will. He's a great kid. I work hard to make up for the time lost when I was too anxious to get close to him. My daughter is still my mini-me. She loves me almost as much as I love her. She's athletic too. She loves gymnastics and soccer. I think a lot about how if I hadn't needed a paternity test, they might have another sibling. Not a good thing to dwell on. My life went in a direction that I didn't expect. It's not perfect, but it's getting better every day. I have a lot to be grateful for, and I remind myself of that when it's hard. My kids are all that matters. Thanks for caring. In comments, Hollering Corgis says, quote, she also said that I made our son feel unloved for no reason for all those years. I said that's bull. Even when I didn't believe my son was mine, I treated him as though he were. In another quote, anyway, that was 4 months ago and my relationship with my wife and son improved dramatically. I feel much closer to him now that I know that he's mine. My wife and I have been so happy that we were talking about a 3rd child. Well, OP, which is it? If he was treating the kid like his own, how did a paternity test improve their relationship? That's what I noticed too. His wife definitely noticed the different treatment and now had an explanation for why it happened. Really shows how he's in his own little bubble, oblivious to reality. He still can't accept that he plays favorites and is a worse father to his son. I don't doubt that this is why their marriage failed to recover. He still doesn't take full accountability. He says both parents upended their children's lives. He still blames the situation on him needing the test when he never needed one, and it was a completely unforced error. Quote, I think a lot about how if I hadn't needed a paternity test, they might have another sibling. Literally nothing else he said in any of his posts was about anything other than why we should pity him. It's still about how this affects him and makes him feel, and not about how what he did made his family feel. She had personal therapy, but he did not. Interesting. All of his posts were me, me, me. Except the part where we tore our family apart. No, my guy, you did that yourself. This kind of bullshit is so damn annoying. I'm biracial, and my grandmother was absolutely livid that I didn't look more Latino. Even disowned my dad for not cutting me off. Real piece of work, that one. Ironically, while still on the outs, my grandpa on my mum's side was far more accepting, though the others just saw me as a bit of a mutt. German Catholics versus Mexican Jehovah's Witnesses. I was destined to be an atheist. Yeah, it still looks like he's not taking accountability for his own actions, and I really feel like you can just see on the horizon a complete breakdown of the relationship with him and his kids once they figure out the truth. Run from it, avoid it, destiny arrives all the same. I think he's still living in his own bubble, and he's not done the work to recognize the damage that he's done and own it. I still think that he's in denial, even after all of this time. Obviously, I'm not him, and I'm not his wife. I'd love to get the wife's perspective on all of this and see things from her eyes, because it definitely seems like he is viewing everything with rose-colored glasses of delusion. This was some damn delusional posting if I've ever seen it. I wish him all the best, but I think, the second wave of his life being torn apart is about 5 to 10 years away when the kids start asking questions, and someone has to be truthful with the kids. And I really think when that day comes, it's going to be so hard to repair the damage between him and his son. I say good luck to you, OP, for that one. I do not ever want to be in your position. That is a personal hell that I wish never to be a part of. Good luck, and thank you for the story, and thank you for the updates. Our next post is by a deleted account, and it's titled, Friend asked if I could babysit their newborn. My friend, 23, and his girlfriend, 21, are having a child. He's like a brother to me, and they made me their godmother. The baby's not even here yet, and he asked if I could babysit his child for the July 4th weekend, as he's going out of town with his girlfriend and family. The girlfriend is due soon, expected due date June 25th. I told him that I'll let him know if I can next week, but I think it's quite strange to go on a trip just after having a baby. I feel like they should take time to establish a routine and bond with their newborn. It's really weird why anyone in his family would even support going on a trip knowing he'll have a baby fresh out of the womb. I'm not one to speak on someone's parenting, but from the moment that he told me he was having a child, he didn't take it very seriously and tends to have unrealistic expectations. I'm not doing anything on the July 4th weekend, as I was just in a car accident a month ago and still mentally healing, but this shouldn't affect my ability of taking care of the newborn. It's more so that newborns need to eat every 2 to 3 hours and need extra care during this time. If I say no, I feel like this would deem me as not dependable to babysit in the future. Bro, what is this situation? Jesus! His girlfriend definitely knows. It's shocking that a new mother would be so willing to leave her newborn after giving birth, but I don't think she's thinking clearly either. She seems naive and goes with whatever he wants to do in order to satisfy him. I would not be comfortable with doing this if I was her. They both weren't ready from what I've observed. He got her pregnant only after 3 months of knowing her. He constantly vented to me about their relationship problems, and after a while, I started to ignore it because he kept pursuing her. The relationship seems toxic, and they don't understand how much a child affects their daily lives and won't know until the child is here. He also says he lives paycheck to paycheck and the girlfriend doesn't work, but yet he constantly wants to go on trips. It's upsetting when people have babies and they're not emotionally or financially prepared. It affects the child the most in the end. I'll be reaching out to my friend to discuss my concerns. I think he's still having a hard time processing that he's going to be a father, and I've told him on multiple occasions that when you're a parent, you no longer come first. He has yet to understand this. I can only hope that he starts being more mature once the child arrives. In the comments, you're not the asshole. Quote, although I'm the godmom, I wasn't expecting to babysit so soon. Godmother does not mean on-demand babysitter. Quote, is it typical for people to do this after having a baby? No, it isn't. The mother will still be healing, and a weekend away from a brand new baby is probably the last thing that she wants. She probably doesn't plan to still go on this trip and doesn't even know that you were asked to do that. Quote, I'm not one to speak on someone's parenting. Then I'll do it. He sucks and is in for a huge reality check. OP replies, it was definitely his idea because this is not the only trip that he planned for this year. He's also planned other trips with our friend group, but I turned them down as 1, he should be focusing on being a dad, and 2, I'd rather save money. I think that once she gives birth, she'll probably change her mind about going on the trip, but she seems to just go with whatever he says. Another commenter says, not the asshole. I think they're in for a rude awakening about the responsibility of being a parent. The idea that they'll be fine to travel a week after she delivers is wild. I would certainly say no, but I would also ask them if they've talked to their doctor about traveling separate from a 1-week-old child. OP says, I'll be expressing to him my concerns about this because his girlfriend does not need to be on a trip right after birth. He never took the pregnancy serious, and now that she's about to give birth, I think he's still having a hard time with accepting that being a father comes first. When asked, has OP been able to communicate with a girlfriend about her feelings of the trip? OP says, the sad part is, I don't even communicate with his girlfriend. We never established a friendship. They barely knew each other when she got pregnant. His girlfriend and I do speak when we see each other, but it's nothing more than a hello. I've tried having conversations with her when I see her, but it's mainly small talk, which is why I concluded that we don't communicate. When my friend and I hang out, it's also just me, him, and our friend group, so we don't see his girlfriend as much. I was just as shocked when he asked me to be godmother because wouldn't she have someone else in mind, like a sister or a best friend to be the godmother? And then my friend told me that she knows he wants to be the godmom and that she's okay with it. I also discovered that sometimes the mum and father each choose their own set of godparents. Damn. Damn, what a situation. And in this economy, acting like this, that's crazy. That is so wild. But unfortunately, I've been shown personally that there are groups of mothers like this everywhere. And unfortunately also, those groups of mothers in this area that I've been shown, a lot of them were on drugs, surprisingly. They're just in group chats, venting about how, oh my god, I got pregnant at 16, I got pregnant at 18, I have my 3rd child at 19, and I'm also on drugs right now. Like, oh my god, you think these people are dysfunctional? There are so many layers of dysfunction to go through. This is crazy. And the fact that they're on drugs while they're also pregnant too, what the hell? I would say at least OP and the people in this situation are like above 20 and they should be more set up and they should be more mature, but I just don't believe it. Look at their actions. They're just like, yeah, first week out from having a baby, we're going on a holiday. Here you go, godmother. Look after the newborn baby. I don't care that you've been in a car crash. Oh my god, this is nightmare material. I can't deal with these people. What in the holy hell of dysfunction is going on? This child is set up for failure from the start. I know we shouldn't throw the term around so lightly and flippantly and whatnot, but like, please find this child a better family to go to before it's too late. I say this in all seriousness. This child needs a better start in life than these two. I am so sad on that child's behalf. But also, I wonder if I'm in OP's shoes, what do I say to this couple? Do I yell at them and say, no, I'm not looking after the child? You guys should stay home? Like, I feel like that's the right thing to do, but if you aren't the one to look after it and ensure the child is safe, who's going to look after the kid? How is this kid going to be protected? Like, I don't know what the right thing to do here. This sucks. Also, for context on like why I knew that these groups of people existed, it was a Snapchat group chat that my friend had shown me. She's currently a part of it, and she filled me in on the details, and I wanted to lose my mind when I learnt those details. There's some crazy things that the average person is not exposed to. And now, onto the update. So I recently posted about my friend, 23 male, and his girlfriend, 21 female, asking me to babysit their newborn who would have been less than a week old while they go out of town for the July 4th weekend. I'm not sure if many of you recall this, as I have deleted the post in fear that he may see the post, but I thought I would provide you all with an update. He and his girlfriend were in a car wreck on the... What? Bro. He and his girlfriend were in a car wreck on the 21st of June, 2025. This is also the same day that I talked to him about my concerns with babysitting the newborn. I did tell him that women need to heal after giving birth, and what if the baby comes earlier or later than the expected due date of the 25th of June? He told me his girlfriend said she'll be good, and they didn't think that it will be an issue going on the trip. Shortly after that phone call, they got into a wreck. My friend lost control of the vehicle while driving on the highway and hit the barrier. No other vehicles were involved. Thankfully, they're okay, and the girlfriend had an early labor. She gave birth to a healthy baby girl on the 23rd of June, born 2 days early. When I said the baby could come earlier, I didn't mean it in this way, but thank goodness they're all okay. Bro, I am mouth agape. What is wrong with these people? It's safe to say that they will not be going on the trip anymore. My friend was driving his brother's car, and the brother did not have car insurance, so my friend has to pay out of pocket to pay for repairs. Although this may cause a financial strain and may be very stressful since they also have to deal with a newborn, it could have been way worse. It's crazy how life could change in a matter of seconds. Oh my god, once again, I hope this life never finds me. This is insane. In the comments, when asked is OP's friend likely to have a substance abuse problem that could have affected his decisions or actions, OP says, no, at least not that I know of. He's just one of those people that don't think about the long-term effects of his actions. He's a good guy, but just needs to make better decisions, and I try to encourage him to do better, but there's only so much I can do. Another commenter says, wow, what idiot thinks it's okay or even possible to leave a newborn with a babysitter in the first weeks? That's insane, and it shows they've not been reading up very well about newborn care. I hope they'll do a bit more research and learning about caring for a newborn. This also should have been a hard no from UOP. Good to hear they're okay, and hope they will grow as parents in the future. Tell me you're a pregnant first-time parent without telling me you're a pregnant first-time parent. A week postpartum? Yeah, I'll be fine going on a vacation. Baby will come exactly on time. Please watch my newborn. Oof. Please keep an eye out for the baby and potential neglect and mistreatment. These people sound like absolute idiots. Clearly too young and immature to go through with parenthood. All I can say is that if anyone had left their newborn kid with me so they could go on a getaway, I would have called Child Protective Services the second they were gone. I don't care if the friendship is lost over it. I would continue to foster that baby if allowed, and by no way I would ever let such selfish people near that baby. And there it is, there is the solution to this problem. Take the baby, call CPS on them, and get that child a better life. I very much agree with that. And OP saying, I don't think that there was a substance abuse issue. I doubt that. I think there is a substance abuse issue going on here that they're probably very good at hiding. And I don't care if you say, Marky, ooh, that's a stretch to make. That's a crazy accusation. I don't care. It comes with the territory with people like this. They're young, dumb, and, probably on substances. They haven't earned my good graces. They're very happy to just abandon and neglect their newborn baby for a holiday. That's just insane. Bro lost control of the car on the highway. That is crazy. That is insane that he would do something like that. He risked his life, his girlfriend's life, and the baby's life. It's just, none of this is okay. I hate this situation. I hope that OP can do something about this and protect that child, but I guess we'll never know. This is just one of the things that happens in life, and it's like watching a wildfire burn that most people can do nothing about. I hope that OP does an anonymous CPS call on them and something happens, but we'll never know. Thank you for the story, and thank you for the update, OP. God damn. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to end today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.